Hi guys, my name's Ashley Green from The Successful Mentalist. Don't know why I'm holding the mug up to show you the branding, but hey ho is what it is. There's a super old picture of Aiden, so enjoy that. What a way to open our first ever YouTube video. Immediately we've lost millions of views, but no. And today I want to really say thank you for tuning in for one of the first videos, and what we're going to be doing today is dissecting one of my old performance videos. A clip that I filmed when I was about 18 years old. I thought it was super cool at the time. Looking back at it, it is probably a bit cringy and a bit meh, but I thought because of that, I'll be able to show you the reasons why I thought things at the time were cool, but with the knowledge I know now, the reasons why it's just rubbish and bland and boring, and how I could improve that and actually do the stuff better. Because obviously we have our podcast where we explain a lot of information on there, we have our free ebooks and various other things, but we don't actually have like any visual things you can see and watch, so hence we are now on YouTube. So make sure you first of all subscribe, like the video, all of that jazz. You know what to do, you've been living on the internet long enough. We're going to jump into the video, and like I said, this is something which I filmed when I was 18 years old, when I'd really just got into mentalism, so I knew nothing about my character, I knew nothing really about the way I wanted to present the mind reading. I literally just did tricks. That was it. And I know a lot of magicians and mentalists suffer from that same thing. They just perform tricks and they don't know how to give it a bit more substance and a bit more like oomph to actually make a routine, well, a routine to make it fun and interesting and enjoyable. So I thought by me ripping into one of my old videos where I made all of the mistakes, hopefully that will give you guys some ideas to change your routines around, to maybe avoid some of the pitfalls that I went through, or just have a laugh at me being stupid because I was a really inexperienced mentalist back then. But anyway, let's jump straight into it.
My name is Ashley Green. Hello, I'm Gareth Williams. Gareth Williams, yeah. Good song for this.
Yeah, so already we're 10 seconds into this, and as you can see, well, first of all, the camera quality is naff, and secondly, it's really difficult to actually hear what's going on, right? Like, I'm faint, you can barely hear me, and also you've got like the blaring background music, obviously, which they're playing in the art gallery. And something which, like I say to people now, if they are filming indoors in a location where they are playing music, like literally just ask and say, hey, is it all right if we turn the music off for a second? Can you turn it down? Can you switch it off? Like, usually people are fine with that. But I think we don't usually ask, and I didn't ask them. One, because I didn't think it would really matter, and two, because I was like shy, and I was like, oh, I can't tell them how to run their shop. But like, just ask. Make sure when you're filming something, it's like filmed the way you want. Make sure when you're recording sound, like everything sounds right and there's not like all these distracting things in the background. Like, that's the first thing for me, and this is my pet hate literally all throughout this video, like the bad audio. And I remember, I can't remember who I heard it from. It was someone who does magic and also filming as well, and he said, if you're literally stuck between a choice of choosing between audio and video, people care more about good audio than they do video. So by making sure the audio is good, clean and crisp, people are more likely to actually carry on watching, because you can suffer watching a video if it's slightly pixely, slightly like the quality's lower, it's not HD. If the audio's crisp, you can suffer through that. But when you're watching like a HD video and you can barely hear it, it's really annoying, right? So audio is key. So that's literally my pet hate all throughout this, so I apologize. It's really difficult to hear this one, but there we go. Mistake number one.
Now, think of a word. I want you to imagine a helium balloon. I take the helium balloon and I attach it to the letter in the middle of the word. Think of that letter, it rises up. That's
This is literally just no process with that, is there? It's just rushing straight into the routine.
In your mind only, I want you to imagine saying that word. Don't give anything away in your lips or your neck. Just imagine saying the words and screaming it to me.
Obviously a Darren Brown copycat at that time.
Dad, what is the word
Right, fair play. Fair play. Right, how you've got to just...
And that's it. As you can tell, it's not great, is it? So I think obviously I've covered the main point in there, which is the audio and video. That could have been improved and that would have improved the overall quality of it, but it's still a trick that I'm doing. There's nothing engaging, there's nothing interesting, there's nothing to kind of look at and enjoy. It's just think of something, that's what it is. Even when we dissect it down, like I said, there's no process actually building up to that thing. I just went, think of a letter in the middle of the word. It's A. Where has that come from? I think if I was to do that exact routine again, I would have made it a little bit more obvious to the people watching, both the person who I was performing to in person and the viewers at home, made it more understandable of how I picked up on the letter A. And you guys could do that depending on what your character is, depending on how you read minds. For example, someone who maybe reads minds through picking up on body language, more of a psychological performer, could have said, think of any one of the letters in there. Now I want you to look straight at me and just go through the alphabet, start saying every single letter in the alphabet. Cool, so you're thinking of an A, right? And it's that just subtle thing which makes people think, that's how he's got it, he's obviously read my body language, rather than just, we picked it up from thin air, because that doesn't make sense to me how I did it. It's just a thing, whereas it could be something. Again, with actually revealing that it was a cat, I just did it. I wrote it down and passed it to him. What I do now is what I said in one of our old podcast episodes, and we've got some great episodes on this talking about revealing information. Aidan shared all about how he reveals information as a psychological performer, and I shared all about how I reveal information as a psychic performer. So those are some great podcast episodes to listen to if you guys are interested in how to reveal information a little bit better. But what I would have done now, if I was back in that scenario, is I would have actually built up my own mental image of everything he was thinking of. Obviously he was thinking of a cat, but I would have actually built up a scene around the cat, everything that might have been happening, like where that cat lives, what it looks like, if it's like a big black fluffy cat, and I would have started describing the scene, the things involved with the cats, the things associated with it, and then started describing the cat itself, and then finally I would have written it down and handed it to him, and then it would have been revealed as cat. But that would have made it so much more interesting, and people can then see the process going up to the point. And this is something which I said in the podcast, I get really, really great feedback from the actual public, the people who are booking me. They are genuinely interested in how I pick up and how I reveal stuff, because that's the most interesting thing, actually going in and delving into their mind, right? Now, the last point I want to mention is, even if I'd done all of those things, and even if I improved that routine and I made it make so much more sense, and I actually went through and revealed it in such a better way, the routine itself, I don't think it makes sense in this environment. I'm performing in an art gallery, and I've just said to the guy, think of a word. Like, wouldn't it have made more sense to do something related to the art gallery itself? Like, we could have done a drawing duplication. It's still boring and bland, like if it's just draw something, that's what it is, but it would have been much more associated with the surroundings, so it would have made more sense when watching it. What I probably would have done now is, again, I'm just trying to think of ideas off the top of my head in like a few minutes, so they're not going to be great, but as you can tell, it's going to be better than what we've just seen. But I would have probably gone in with like a little canvas myself, and I would have hung it up on the wall, and it would have like had some paper on it. I would have maybe handed a pad of paper to him, and I would have got talking to him about why he does what he does, why he's here, actually be interested in him as a participant. I think that would have made some really interesting conversation, especially considering the surroundings. And then based off what he said, I would have altered my routine slightly to fit the things that he was talking about. So it almost makes it a little bit more bespoke, and it seems a little bit more unique in that moment, because I'm adapting everything I'm doing, and I'm being flexible with my routines. I'm not just sticking to one rigid thing and it has to be this. I'm just going in with an idea of what I want to do, and then base it to suit my surroundings and everything that he says of why he's there in that environment, in that art gallery. So that's one thing that I would have done. And like I said, maybe he draws something and then it's predicted on the canvas. Maybe I could have got him to think of his favourite painting, and then the camera would have gone round the art gallery, and it would have made like a really interesting a video of like going around seeing all these beautiful paintings and like a nice video exploring as I try and divine the painting that he's thinking of, and then maybe finish with something where he thinks of anything and then I don't know, draws it down, and then I reveal what it is. These are just ideas off the top of my head, but immediately we can see they make so much more sense than what I've done. And I think this is something else to consider, like actually making it suit the situation. And I think the problem of why I fell into that pitfall was I had no idea, I had no plan in place. I just at the time went, I want to film something for YouTube, and I went out with my camera like I didn't even know the thing I wanted to perform. So I ended up just doing a trick. And the problem with that is we know so many tricks. As magicians, as mentalists, we do so many tricks because most of us gig in environments where we perform. But performing at a gig, performing in person is completely different to performing on camera, because you have to engage with the camera. You have to engage with the people at home, the people watching it, because they are the ones who the video is for. So we have to think of ways to make it interesting for them, and actually talking to the camera, talking to them directly like I'm doing with you guys now, would have maybe made that a little bit better. And actually just having that plan in place and thinking about where I want the camera, what I want it to see, the shots that I want, and just the overall effect, like what I want to accomplish and why people are going to be interested. And when you can answer that question, why should people care about the content you're putting out? Why should people be interested? If you can answer that and you can give yourself a good enough answer, then you're going to have a cracking video at the end of it. But these are the questions we should start asking ourselves when we film stuff and upload it, because it's one thing filming a trick, but it's something completely different filming an actual video, something enjoyable to watch. And I think it does start with asking yourself those questions. Why should people care? Why should people be interested in what you're putting out? I am conscious though that I am wash filling on, and I wanted to keep this as a super short video for today because it's one of the first videos we put out, so I don't want to spend 5 hours talking and dissecting and doing a real deep dive on this, because hey, who's going to watch 5 hours? Although maybe in a global pandemic, which it is now, people might have the time for that. I don't know. But I am curious about what you guys thought. First of all, like the video itself, what did you like about the performance? What did you hate about the performance? How would you do it differently? Like, what are your thoughts on that? And secondly, do you agree with what I said? Because, like, I'm open for people disagreeing with me, because that's the best way for all of us to grow. Because I know I'm not going to be right with everything I say. And neither are you. You're not going to be right with everything you say. And I think coming together and clashing those ideas and building up new ideas as a community is one of the things that really will help us grow all together, like we say on our website. A rising tide raises all the boats. So I'm really, really actually interested in what you think about the things I've said. Do you agree with the kind of tips and ideas and the real dissection of that old performance footage? Or do you disagree with it? Or what would you have suggested? What would you have done differently? Like, I would genuinely love to know. So do whack your comments, do whack your little pieces of feedback, descriptions, the things that you would have done and not done and all of that. Whack it in the comments, because I would genuinely love to read that from you, and I would love to hear your thoughts. But I hope you guys have enjoyed our first ever video that we've put out on the Successful Mentalist YouTube. Do subscribe, do like the video, do leave a comment like I say, and we will see you next time for a brand new video. So check out the podcast, check out the free ebooks, sign up to the mailing list, because then you'll get updated with all the awesome free content that Aiden's sending out. And I'll see you guys next week.